I would like to tell a story to glorify God, to just really speak of his wonderful work in my life, of his caretaking of me, and really for the whole family. It affected everybody good. Anyway, and to encourage others who need to be reminded that God is aware of our problems and he's watching out for us and he's caring for us. I was nearly 35. I had given birth to my fifth child via C-section. My first C-section, the others were all normal, like regular births. And this was supposed to be just a really big baby, and it had been a long time since I had a baby, so they were concerned, so they recommended the C-section. So I had the C-section. This was in spring of 2002. 3 weeks after I had the C-section, I began to feel breathless. And my good friend Barbie happened to call me this one day. I'm pretty sure it was a Tuesday, and she heard the breathlessness in my voice and encouraged me to call the doctor. She was like, please do it for me. I didn't want to, but she said, just humor her. So I did. And they thought I was just probably doing too much, not resting enough. When they realized I had 5 kids, and this was my 5th baby and my first C-section, they were like, you're doing too much. So, take a nap. Are you napping every day? So I was like, well, I'll try to nap. When I tried to lie down, it hurt. I had discomfort in my back. I literally could not lie down. And I remember being very frustrated by that. Called them back later. My husband came home from work at some point. And I just remember when I called them, they said, why don't you come over to the ER? It was just seriously 5 minutes away. And they said one of the doctors in my OB group was there at the hospital anyway, and they would have her meet me down there in the ER if I would just give her name when I first got there. So my mother-in-law came over, stayed with the other 4 kids, or even with the 5 kids, with the baby. I guess I nursed Noah, and that was the baby, and off we went to the ER. And I also took a couple of pain pills before this. And I think this is good too for medical people to watch this, because this is a real true story of a pulmonary embolism that, might be helpful to them. Anyway, postpartum pulmonary embolism. So I took a couple of Tylenol, because I thought maybe I'm just having backache, lower backache. I am doing a lot, and maybe that's all it is. And so that probably was not good, probably masked the pain and made me more just calmer and less likely to say ow. Of course it wasn't hurting to sit up. It was when I tried to lie down. But anyway, I got over there, told the name of the doctor that was supposed to be on call, never heard from that doctor. She never came down. We sat for 4 hours in the ER. And I needed to nurse that baby. I was becoming engorged, and I thought, I got to get back home and nurse the baby. So we left the ER. I had a PE, a pulmonary embolism, which is a blood clot in the lung. And we left the ER. God is so good that I didn't die. Went home, nursed the baby. Mother-in-law went home. We go to bed. I can't sleep because I can't lie down. Now I'm up at the computer researching, and now I'm reading stories of my symptoms and pulmonary embolism in different situations. I thought, we should have called my mother-in-law right away and got her back over at 3 a.m. when I was reading that, and got over there again. But I waited. This is another stupid thing people do. It's like, I don't want to be a bother. I don't want to make more out of this than it. No, I should have immediately gone to the ER, but again, God's merciful. And I ended up in the morning telling my husband, I think I better call the doctor again. I couldn't sleep, blah, blah, blah. The pain when I tried to lie down. And he said, that's a good idea. I called my mother-in-law. We ended up doctor appointment. And then they said, go for an x-ray and different tests. And through the course of a day back at the hospital, they diagnosed me by 4:30. Interestingly, x-ray didn't show it. A VQ scan did not show it. I had to do it standing because I could not lie down for that. But a CT scan showed it. And that's when at 4:30 they said, you have a substantial pulmonary embolism. You need to be admitted and put on blood thinners. And so I was. And I had to take Coumadin to go home on. So they couldn't let me out of the hospital until the Coumadin amount was a certain amount in my blood, and it just wasn't reaching the right amount. They hoped it would be days, but it ended up being 10 days, not like 3 or 4 days. But God be praised, I got to go home on, I believe it was April 21st. I was in the hospital, I think from the 11th to the 21st of April. And I lived. And I just want to say, thanks to God. Thank you, God, for sparing my life, because my husband would have been left a widower with 5 kids, including a 3-week-old newborn. And God was merciful. And that's my pulmonary embolism story.